Dokey artichokies. We're making a trilogy about the guy. Nah, well, I figured this is a good way to tie everything together. And let's see how he's dragging his mates into this whole big mess he's got himself in. Oh, and let's take a little note of that. Minister of Energy and Emissions Reduction. And I wonder how many of these farming companies are just not there for the purpose of water profiteering. Alright, if you watched my video about Grassgate, then you'd see that Angus had to drag in Josh, our now treasurer but then environment minister. And looking at this, that timing matches up, and oh, Dolce Bake you reckon, Josh? Very nice. It's good that you worked at banks, because that should then make you a good treasurer. Nah, I shouldn't use sarcasm when you don't see my face.
The first surplus in 12 years.
I wouldn't get your hopes up about a surplus.
So yeah, congratulations, Josh. Made your way onto the What Do You Mean network with your own little video there. Oh, and of course, the featuring in the Angus Taylor Grassgate saga. Well done. Oh, let's have a look at some of your other handiwork as a treasurer. $2 billion for obsolete weapons, $65 billion for company tax cuts, $30 billion per annum for religion, $7.7 billion per annum for fossil fuel subsidies, $3.8 billion to boost weapon sales, $50 million to renovate a war memorial, $44 million to Turnbull's Reef Mates, $230 million for a cyber security strategy, $100 million for a war memorial in France, and $50 million to celebrate Captain Cook. Smashing it out. Remember that time you were on Q&A? Well, I tried to tweet you because you're talking about spending Australia's money, and we'll have a little look. I actually tweeted the budget at you. General public services seem to go down. Health and education, that goes down drastically. What's going on there then? Oh, but defence, that goes up a little bit. And now remember, when you're talking millions, that must then be, billions? And, oh look, something else for us the people, that goes down. Alright, let's go back to Angus and the other saga he's involved in, the scandal, the scheme he's cooked up, Australia's Watergate. Now this one, he had to drag in old mate Barnaby into it. Yeah, he's probably going to just forever be an extra. He's just in the sidelines, messing things in a stupidly hilarious way. But yep, this is his rap sheet, and seems to check out. Timing matches up. Yeah, you just gotta appreciate how in one of my newer videos I've done, responding to the Prime Minister's video about suicide, and then also adding the 2 cents Barnaby had on it. And because, yeah, he had to weigh in about fucking New Start, because it's going to be a bit of a dick move to say, I want more money, but fuck those guys. So I'm just going to leave that there, Barnaby. I'm just going to put that graph right there. So yeah, Angus, water profiteering, involved this chud, and messing with endangered species list to be able to farm his own land, involved that chud. Alright, and then so the domino effect has led to David Littleproud to be dragged into this because he was made the next Agriculture and Water Minister. But that title seems to change because, what? They put the one minister that has me blocked on Twitter, that I know of, in charge of one of the first things I found looking through our budget that made me go, what do you mean? I feel personally attacked right now. But yeah, this guy even has his own little video, Cod, Cotton and Corruption. That's probably why he blocked me, because I was on his ass for bullshitting about Madindi, because if something was natural and caused from drought, why hasn't it happened before then, huh? And what I personally am extra concerned about is that even on the government website, they admit that algae can cause problems of the nervous system. I did not hear any other TV networks or publications go, yo, not just are there millions of dead fish, but people are possibly at the risk of motor neuron disease. Now, you see, if we had competent people in our parliament, I would be like, whatever minister's in charge of the water needs to be on this. The agriculture one, sure. Minister for the environment, all get together and work on saving. the Murray-Darling Basin. But no, we have these people. Now, I did the courtesy of getting a 46-minute long episode of Four Corners down to 6 minutes for you with the few of the key points, and I'll see you on the other side of that.
Water is one of Australia's most precious commodities.
5,900, sir. Well bought to buy number 50.
The Andreazza compete for water year-round against big corporations, investment banks and private traders.
They're pushing the price of water up because they're not there to use that water for any purpose other than to gain profits. So they're in there to get the best price. They're like speculators. They're in there just buying and selling, and they will sell to the highest bidder. Anyone can come in and buy water. You don't even have to be a farmer. You just need to be able to put it into a water account and have the money to pay for it. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to grow food with it or put it towards the environment. You're going to make money out of it, and that's what a lot of people are doing, unfortunately.
43.
We have up to about 3,500 kilometres of channel systems within our main irrigation area. You know, that's a huge, huge network.
The infrastructure subsidies are so lucrative, they've encouraged people to buy unviable land and convert it into irrigated fields.
Some irrigators are taking full advantage of the loose rules. They're buying cheaper water from another river and selling it to the government in exchange for projects on farms here.
They're increasing their irrigation land area and they're increasing their water use over time.
The scheme doesn't work.
Taxpayers financed this $300,000 dam for wealthy businessman Kelvin Baxter.
That money being come a little bit quicker than we might have just done it out of profits, right? You know.
So the scheme was paying for something you would have done anyway?
In time,
Correct.
for sure.
In time we would have done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Water is the magnet that is bringing Webster to Griffith. You know, Webster owns large parcels and quantities of water, but it has sold massive, vast volumes of water to the federal government under the Basin Plan in northern New South Wales. And what it's done is use that money to come down here and buy further properties and more water.
Next to the cotton field, there's a new dam waiting to be filled. It's been funded by the taxpayer under the Water Infrastructure Scheme.
That program was supposed to reduce the amount of water that was going to irrigation when it's actually increased the opportunities for irrigation, all subsidised by taxpayers. And worse, I think Australian taxpayers will be really shocked to find out that that money is actually going to foreign investors as well. And that's just absolutely perverse.
Four Corners can reveal Webster Limited has received more than $40 million under the Water Infrastructure Scheme to help pay for a $78 million transformation of its properties. Webster's shareholders and Canadian backers are also banking on the funds for an expansion to the outer reaches of the Murrumbidgee to trap water that would have flowed into the rest of the Murray-Darling Basin.
Along that road, you just see dam after dam after dam, these massive on-farm dams in a place that is as flat as a table, that just should not have dams. The efficiency program has become a massive subsidy for large agribusiness that has facilitated the increase of irrigation water, not a decrease.
Look, I find it astounding. I mean, why are we building these large dams for private gain at public cost? I mean, how can we be doing that? And worse, you know, we're denying the river of the water that it needs, and it seems to be at complete odds with the Murray-Darling Basin Plan and the Water Act.
In New South Wales, the biggest portion of water infrastructure funding has gone to one monopoly corporation, Murrumbidgee Irrigation, for upgrades to its huge network of channels and pipes which deliver water to the valley's farms.
This was through the taxpayer-funded program as well?
Yes, this was done under PEOP.
Okay, and it allows more water to come through?
It does.
Mary-Anne Slattery left the authority in disgust in 2017, concluding the Murray-Darling Basin Plan was a fraud on Australian taxpayers and the claimed savings from the water infrastructure scheme were grossly exaggerated.
Government does not do any checking of either at the first point the estimated saving or at the last point the actual saving, so there's no government checking in that process at all.
This year, the South Australian Royal Commission called for an overhaul of the $13 billion Murray-Darling Basin Plan. It described the $5.6 billion water infrastructure scheme as a quintessential example of a sorry lack of accountability and transparency.
The Commissioner directly recommended that the whole scheme, first of all, be stopped because it probably doesn't work and it probably isn't recovering water and it is a huge expense to taxpayers. But the Auditor General should investigate the entire scheme.
The Australian government blocked the Royal Commission from questioning Commonwealth employees and then ignored its findings. It was no surprise to the Australian economists, scientists and former officials who've warned successive governments about the water infrastructure scheme.
The broader Australian public demanded that governments do something about the rivers of the Murray-Darling.
Alright, now you've heard from some small family farms, some wealthy businessmen farmers, some specialists, people that worked on the Royal Commission on it, and let's just have a look at some of the highlights from Little Proud's response. Some of my favourites are the first one, the Coalition is proud to invest in water efficiency projects because they return water to the river system whilst protecting real jobs and communities rather than decimating them as water buybacks do. It is unfortunate Four Corners did not mention this crucial fact, maybe because it's not a fact. Oh, these are gems. Skip down to the bottom one, it's like, taxpayer-funded water efficiency projects help farmers grow more with less water and return water to the river systems. This way the river and the farmer and the community all win. I reckon he wrote this himself. The river gets more water, the farmer produces as much or more produce, and this protects jobs for the local community. If the farmer or company uses other money to plant other crops or buy other water, that's up to them, so long as all approvals are met. Australia is a free country. It's like if you were to argue with like a 14-year-old boy. We're a free country, man. Building a dam does not give a farmer more water entitlement. Nobody said it did. Planting almonds, nuts or other water-intensive crops does not give a farmer more water entitlement. Nobody said it did. It said that we're paying for the dams that they're building, so then they have money left over to buy some water, which they could very well sell back to then get more money to build more dams, and then they got lots of water to plant these water-intensive crops. Oh, you gotta love it. Like, to suggest that farms are switching to high-value crops because water is recovered through water efficiency projects is silly. That sentence is silly. They are switching to high-value crops because they will return more to the farmer. Oh, no shit, dipshit. That is what we were saying. That's the point. This is about profit when it was meant to be about saving the fucking river. Whew. Alright, I gotta calm down. Okay, let's go back to fantastic, great move, well done Angus. He's done a brilliant job at giving me prime examples of what I was whinging about in the video I made, appropriately titled Corruption. Well done Angus, did a perfect job. And the more I read these and look into different members' voting record, I kind of hope that corruption and bribery and legalised bribes in the form of political donations are what the issue is here. Or else these are evil fucking people. Because you see here, there's the one obvious form of corruption, which is what Angus is trying to give us plenty of examples for, where they go into politics to financially benefit themselves. The other form of corruption, which will hopefully explain their horrendous voting record, let's hope, because look at some of this shit. Decreasing availability of welfare payments, drug testing welfare recipients, getting rid of Sunday and public holiday penalty rates, voted for making more water from the Murray-Darling Basin available to use, voted for privatising government assets, reducing the corporate tax rate. Fantastic. Good move. Well done, Angus. At least, like, most of them have the decency to want to strengthen gun laws. Oh, and gotta love unconventional gas mining. That is fracking. Voted very strongly against. A minerals resource rent tax. A royal commission into violence and abuse against people with disabilities. Voted very strongly against investment in renewable energy. Increasing marine conservation. Protecting Australia's fresh water. Restrictions on gambling. Increasing the diversity of media ownership, increasing transparency of big business by making information public. Voted strongly against protecting the Great Barrier Reef and removing children from immigration detention. Of course, he would vote very strongly against restricting foreign ownership. And of course, he would vote strongly against stopping tax avoidance or aggressive tax minimization. Some of them would be for himself, but that's because he's pretty much a corporation. Because let's hope that these guys given the money is what's making most of them vote for these horrible policies, more so than them being absolute fucking cunts. Because you got everyone up in this bingo party. Fossil fuels, so especially gas, pharmaceuticals and medical companies, auditors and financial brokers, banks, farming and agriculture companies. Oh yeah, the whole kit and caboodle. And here is the final thing I'll leave with you on Angus Taylor, our Minister for Energy and Emissions Reduction. Quote, "If you remove our growing LNG exports from Australia's emissions, the results are telling. While our LNG exports have surged over the recent years, our national emissions have followed. But if you remove the contribution of LNG, the emissions across the rest of our economy are steadily trending down. This data tells two stories." Okay, Angus, that's fucking great. First point, no shit if you take the bit that's gone up out of the equation, it hasn't gone up. No shit, Angus. If you take out the problematic bit of data, then there's no problem with the data I'm displaying. But besides that, LNG, natural gas, methane, you see, why are we trying to get people to think that we're going to save the day and stop our death from carbon, from coal, from CO2 by replacing it with gas, with methane, when it's fucking worse? Their argument is methane doesn't linger as long as carbon dioxide does, but it heats us up more. It's just more efficient at killing us. It doesn't need to be there as long because it's going to do a better job of cooking us. You'd think the Minister of Energy and Emissions Reduction would be cluey to this. So they are putting a halt on things like coal, which I agree with, and trying to tell us they're going to fix it with something that's going to kill us quicker. Fantastic. Great move. Well done, Australia. Corruption and greed is going to kill the planet and everyone on it.